Hey everybody, welcome to Electric Cafe. My name's Tim Humphrey. Today we're talking about Massive Attack. Seems like I'm wearing the same shirt because I'm busting out. This is like the fourth video I've done today. So I feel like, since I just started this channel and just started talking about it, and hopefully you guys enjoy me talking. And sorry, sometimes I just kind of talk off the cuff, and hopefully some people appreciate that. And excuse me, I'm drinking coffee. I'm a little tired today, but hopefully you guys like me just kind of talking at random about my experience, and showing you some of the music and what tracks I like, and kind of talk about record buying and things like that. And hopefully, it's not. I don't want to be just one of those channels just kind of like, hey, it recommends this, or goes to the extreme about like trying to describe the music, or just showing you my collection just to show you my collection. It's more about my memories and the experiences with them, and maybe special tracks, and maybe what they mean to me, and where my basically my history with them. I think, I don't know. I get a little. I would rather somebody tell me their experiences with music than tell me about the music itself. Like, oh, it has this arpeggiated, and I really like the drum, the processing, and I don't like to. I mean, I do like that as well. I went to recording school, and that's where my degree is. I went to recording school in 1997, and I do very much like equipment and recording process, and the everything about recording I really enjoy, and effects and delays, and reel-to-reel tapes, and tape compression and compressors and limiters, and I love all that stuff, and I have a lot of that equipment. But I generally like talking more about the emotions in music and what it means to me, and kind of tying that with purchasing, how I purchase music, and my memories with certain songs and stuff like that. So I got into Massive Attack a little bit late. They're a UK band, and they started out of the Wild Bunch was, which I guess one of the early labels was, it was on Wild Bunch before it got signed to a bigger label. But I think Wild Bunch was sort of like not like a really early hip hop group, but they were it was kind of like a crew, and then it kind of turned into a Massive Attack. And I don't know the history of all that. I'm sure one of you guys could probably tell me a little bit more about that, but that's, they started in the UK, so I was a little late into hearing them, to be honest with you. I remember it was like it was yesterday. My friend Eric, this is when I was going to recording school in '97, took me over his friend's house, Mark, and Mark. We were about to go out that night, and we were hanging out at his house having a beer, and he was playing Blue Lines, and Unfinished Symphony came on, and I was like, well, what is this? And I went over to I think he was playing a cassette or CD player, and I was like, rewind. I would hear it again, rewind. I think he got a little annoyed because I played it probably like 4 or 5 times in a row, but he wasn't necessarily paying attention that much. But I was blown away by that song, and I loved that song. And then I ended up getting the cassette, and just became a huge fan. I mean, Daydreaming, I love that one, and Unfinished Symphony, Be Thankful for What You Got. Those are my 3 tracks on here. I love those 3 tracks. Solid album, really solid album. I think it's a little overhyped, but those 3 songs are so big that I understand why people put this in there. I think this made Rolling Stone top 500 albums of all time, or 1,000 albums you have to hear before you die, or whatever those lists are. But this made that list. It's kind of considered the beginning of trip hop music, and I can see that too. You got the urban style coming from the hip hop roots, late '80s. crews and things like that, and maybe like an MC and things like that, and they sort of got into the instrumental music a little bit more, and this has a little bit of soul in there because it's got the cover version for "Be Thankful for What You Got," which is, I realized probably shortly after I got this that there was an original version, that wasn't original, but I was like, what an amazing song, and then I heard it was a cover version, so that kind of takes away from it a little bit, but it's a great cover. But when you think about it, Unfinished Symphony is just the video too is just a legendary Balearic track. And for you that don't know what Balearic means, it's Cafe Del Mar is a place in Europe, Mediterranean, where they would play music all night and play music in the early morning, and that it kind of has that vibe of, it's not like a club constrictions of you gotta play dance music, or you play music based on not really the sun, but the time of day, and really the freedom to express yourself in playing music. And I kind of consider myself a Cafe Del Mar type DJ. I would aspire to be that. That's kind of how my mixing has evolved the last 30 years, where I feel like I want to play all kinds of stuff, and a track like this is a perfect Balearic album because, even though it wouldn't necessarily go in a DJ set, if you just played in Finished Symphony, people be so happy. It's just a great track. You play something like Daydreaming, you're playing electronic music, you're playing trip hop, whatever, and then you get into a track that has some rapping on it, like Daydreaming. That's a Balearic track. You know what I mean? It's just something different that you're going to play into a set that's unique, and it's just a rare groove. Such a great album. Great album. But surprisingly, like you'll find out, it's my least favorite Massive Attack album. Alright, so then you go on to Protection. So around that time, this was already released because this came out in 94, so as soon as I got Blue Lines, I got this one. This is a great CD. This is... it's hard to say it's not my favorite CD. Protection, great song. Karma Coma, great song. 3, great song. Probably my favorite song, and I use it all the time. I can't tell you how many times I played it like a restaurant or DJ'd it like a lounge, and Weatherstorm was the first song I played. It's like a I try to like blend. I'm kind of from the old school when it comes to like DJing. I'm not the DJ out there that would, hey look at me, and I'd like to fit into the atmosphere and just play a song and somebody just go, oh, this is a cool song, and just kind of absorb one of my favorite experiences. I used to play on this cafe in Melrose in Los Angeles, and it was kind of a trippy kind of on Melrose. It was kind of a trippy cafe. I had all this like glow in the dark like space like toys, and it was just really kind of a small lounge. I think they served vegan food, which was pretty rare for the 90s. And it was down the street from Wax Records, and down the street from Beat Nonstop and DMC Records, and which were 3 record stores we used to hit in the 90s. If you were in LA, those were a couple of the spots, along with like Vinyl Fetish. This is before Amoeba Records started, but I would go in there. There was the restaurant only sat probably like there was probably like 10 tables. And then there was a bar area, and the guy, I can't remember his name. He was a foreign guy, and he used to let me DJ in there, and he had turntables set up in the window, and I would come in and play, and I'd bring my CD player because just to play a couple tracks like this one, and I would just come in there, and they're probably like, oh, this DJ's here, he's gonna blast us away with music. No, come in smooth, playing like a song like Weatherstorm. And, you just fit right into the ambiance. And sometimes I could see, like, the owner, he'd be like, oh, cool, this is, yeah, nice. Like they kind of appreciated that I would kind of fit into the ambiance of their restaurant. I'm sure they were so used to somebody coming in and just, because that's kind of the young DJ. And I had that as well as, I would come in and want to play like my darkest, I was really into dark progressive house and dark techno in like 98, 99, and just I was kind of coming out of the trance and chill out music and learning a lot more and kind of being really excited by a lot of the warehouse techno and minimal stuff and Cologne dub techno sound around like 98, 99. And they would, a lot of DJs would just come in, and I did it too. You just kind of come in there and play your best stuff, trying to impress them, and you're like, it's like 8 p.m. at night, and you're playing some some darker stuff. You're just like, it's cool, but it doesn't work. You got to learn how to play for your atmosphere, and that's what I liked about, and I still like about playing at like restaurants and lounges and stuff. I wish there was a lounge out here. But it's coming around in the scene. There's a lot more places to play that are kind of appreciating DJs and their knowledge about music and what they can bring to the table instead of just playing some music and playing their iPod or their iPod, like anybody uses an iPod anymore. Plays their Pandora or whatever they have, the Spotify. Heat Miser. Light My Fire is an interesting, cover of The Doors, and that's live on this, but love this album. Love this album. You can see how much I love it because it's pretty scratched up. Again, there's the Wild Bunch on there, and I think that was part of their early crew before they got signed to Virgin Records. And here's the vinyl, which I got a little bit later, and cool artwork, graffiti in here. But great album. And so again, I'm taking you back to like 90, 97, 98, right? I just got into Blue Lines. I just got Protection, so I was caught up, and then I got the Mad Professor one, which is the last one, which is kind of I always figure it's kind of like the B-sides of Protection. This is kind of the stuff that didn't necessarily need it, but it still holds its own. And it kind of has that more, it's Mad Professor, so it's got the dub on there. And again, this is a strong album. A lot of people miss this album when you think of the big albums from Massive Attack. Don't forget with the Mad Professor. And and then I also had the promo of Unfinished Symphony. So this had Daydreaming 12-inch remix on it. So I was super happy because I play this one out all the time. And it's got a Oakenfold's dance remix and the Oakenfold instrumental, but it's got the LP version. So you got the LP version, which I like more than Oakenfold's, and then the Daydreaming 12-inch version on here. Jam-packed album. This has gotten so much play over the years. So great to have that. So then I'm all caught up, right? So then Mezzanine hits. Boom. All right, there's the original fold out from, I think it came out in 98 or 99. I think it was 98, but here's the original. It's interesting because Angel, of course, great track on here. Teardrop, for those, it's funny when I had my girlfriend was watching the show House. If you guys remember the show House, the theme song was Teardrop from Massive Attack, and every time that would come on, she'd be like, "Oh, they're playing Massive Attack." And Inertia Creeps was the single, so here's the single right here, a little cardboard. A lot of remixes on here. I think it has 6 versions of Inertia Creeps on here. The Bengal mix is my favorite on here. But if I haven't told you before, Digimixes, Digipacks, Digi-CDs, the best. It's ergonomic, it's cheap, it doesn't bend a lot, it stays strong. I mean, not as strong as plastic, but I'd rather have this than this sitting in there with a bright orange. I always pull it out. Like, I always know where it is because it's bright orange, nice and thin. Digipacks, awesome. CD spindles suck. Cardboard CDs, great. So, and great job of packaging on here. Great artwork on here, right? It's got the guys in here. It's got a really cool fold out, with all the lyrics on it. Again, this is the original original copy, the first edition where it was the triple pack like this. You know, so you got all the you know, all the artwork in here, and of course you know, there's the little beetle. You got all the information on the music. I thought it had the lyrics in here. Oh, maybe it doesn't have lyrics. I thought it had lyrics in here. Anyways, it has a lot about the who produced it and all, who worked on it and all this stuff. A lot of information about it. So much so I thought it was I thought it was the lyrics. But it's been a while since I looked at that. But overall, Blue Lines, my third favorite. Protection, number 2. But it has my favorite songs on here. It's interesting because this is the best album, cover to cover. It's every song is a winner. It's really hard to beat this in any trip hop album, possibly. This might be one of the most important trip hop albums of all time. I think this is even on Rolling Stone's top 500. But when you look at the albums, this has the most impactful song. Blue Lines, Unfinished Symphony is probably their most important song, in my opinion. But it's hard to say Teardrop or Angel isn't one of the best songs they ever did. And then you have Protection, which probably has my personal favorites. Again, the lesser known ones that I really like, that I play a lot. I play Protection more. And then here's the record of it, copy of it as well. Of course, I got that when it got reissued the first time. I think it's the first. This one's still sealed. The Blue Lines there. So again, if I come across it and it's a great album, I'll buy. If I have a record of it and I see a CD copy, I'll buy the CD copy. Some records I just like to have on as many formats as possible. So when I have cassettes on and stuff like that, you can see some cassettes up here and, you know, up here, whatever. But yeah, so I'll always buy each version I can, you know. But CDs are the ones I mainly listen to if it's a listening album, right? If it's a dance track, I'm gonna play the record probably more so than if it was on CD. But if it's an album that I want to hear all in one time, I'm gonna get this versus having to play double records. This is a 2x12, so you have to flip the record over 3 times to hear the whole album. It's funny because I think about record collecting and how popular it's gotten, and it's little things like that I would think would annoy these young collectors, but I think they're so like about getting the first, you know, getting a color vinyl and getting the repress and getting it on vinyl, and they're so like wrapped up into the limited, you know, limited edition and certain editions and stuff like that. They're so into that I feel like they're losing a little bit of the drawbacks of the format. I mean, I wouldn't say vinyl is perfect. I DJ, so that's why I have a lot of vinyl. If I didn't DJ, if I didn't enjoy DJing, I don't think I would have a tenth of the records that I have. You know, some stuff is only on vinyl. A lot of the dance music I have is only on vinyl, and so I probably still have those. But yeah, I like to listen to CDs. Again, I have equal CDs pretty much to vinyl. It's probably 1-to-1. You can see some of my CDs back here. I have probably about, you know, 10 or 11,000, 12,000 CDs, and they're all mostly in this room. You know, there's can't really see, but there's quite a bit in front of you and behind. But you know, over here is little ones over here. This bookcase over here is a couple thousand in that bookcase. Yeah, and then so moving on. So 100th Window, underrated album as well. Not as good as Mezzanine, but still, it's got some good music on it. And then I was really surprised. Fast forward to 2010, and then this came out. This one's better than 100th Window, in my opinion, and this is very highly underrated when you think about their first 3 albums, and then how big Massive Attack off. This album was really, really good. Sometimes I have a hard time remembering which songs, but I'll know the place. I think it was like 4, 5, and 6 that I really like, but this whole album is good. This whole album is good. Massive Attack don't really do any bad stuff. There might be a song or two on Blue Lines or Protection at the end that I don't necessarily play a lot, like Five Man Army, you know, whatever. But and maybe even on Protection. I don't play Light My Fire, but that's not them. I think Sly or Eurochild or Better Things, I don't think I really play a lot. You know, so sometimes I get to the end of the middle of Protection, I'll stop playing because the first 5 or 6 songs are so good. But a couple of the later ones are like, eh. But yeah, so that's my experience with Massive Attack. Probably the most important trip hop group of all time. They kind of put the genre on the map to a lot of people. I think there is some better trip hop, and maybe I'll kind of go over that in the future video. But I wanted to touch on some of the bigger artists while I just start doing this channel and start getting some content and some of the bigger names. But I'll dive into a lot of the lesser known music, but that I like even more in the future. You know, because I got a good amount of down tempo and trip hop as well as, you know, drum and bass. So sort of in that down tempo field of electronic music. I like a lot of that stuff. So thanks for checking out my video on Massive Attack. Hopefully you're a big fan as well. I'd be curious, what are your top 3 favorite Massive Attack tracks? Put them below. And what's your favorite album? I'm curious about that. And they are coming in concert soon, so have you seen Massive Attack in concert? I have not seen them. I'm thinking about coming. They're coming out later this year. Tickets are kind of expensive. All right, thanks for listening. Take care.